I was going to say, watch designers don't sit down and design a watch in sort of isolation, and then they sit down. Then the accountants come in, figure out what that's going to cost, and say, "There's our price."
Hold on, is David's point not that they didn't design this watch at all? They just kind of just put the watch
They
back
just
out
priced
again.
it.
Well, that was it. They priced it. They said, "We need an $18,000 watch. Come on, designers."
Inflation calculator, 2007 to 2025.
Right. Let's clap ourselves in, as we are wanting to do, and we'll get on with the show. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. It never amazes me just how pathetic that actually is. Yeah, we should actually get someone to put some sort of random beat. I mean, we're probably clapping like 15/7 or some like really random meter. So if somebody would like to put that to some sort of sample drum beat for the show, then please go ahead. But anyway, welcome to this week's aBlogtoWatch Weekly, where we're joined by the Men in Black. David, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Pretty well, thank you.
Excellent. Ariel, all the way from Italy. How are you this morning?
I'm real excited to be in Italy on Easter. Well, it was on Easter. They celebrate this holiday in a very exaggerated way, and of course, the Pope dying just makes it. I don't want to say exciting, but obviously, like you've never been in I'm like in the epicenter of high religion here. It's kind of an interesting place to be.
Yeah, you've certainly chosen your location for this morning. Ripley, how's you?
I'm good. I'm well. I'm still growing out the facial hair, at least for the duration of this week.
Yes, we will touch on your facial hair experiences shortly. We're joined by Mr. Pete McConnell, who we haven't seen for a while. Welcome back to the show, Pete. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm very well, thank you. In Australia, we have, for some reason, we celebrate a long Easter, so we get a couple of days. And then next Monday is also a public holiday for us. So I've taken a 3-day break and got a 10-day weekend. So
excellent. It feels like a win against beating the man, a win against the machine.
It's very Australian. If you get the opportunity to take a 10-day weekend, you take it.
Kevin, how are you this morning?
I'm very well, very, very, very looking forward to today. Got lots on today and this week, so yeah.
Excellent. Right, well, we start off with 2 questions. One is, can you upset Rolex? Which Pete and Ripley were discussing. The other is, what is the best way to get out of jury duty? Ripley is desperately trying to suggest that facial hair is the way to get out of duty. So it's suspicious facial hair.
Not just facial hair, this facial hair.
That particular facial hair.
What I have cultivated over the course of the last week and a half, this particularly.
So it's not just that the facial hair above the lip is all you can grow, it's that specifically that is what you are growing.
Oh, yes. I have shaved the mediocre growth on the sides. There's a little bit on the chin. What this says is I've intentionally tried to do this, and I've put all of my efforts in all of the wrong places. And I think that is exactly what you don't want on a jury. So I think a mustache says 1,000 words, and I'm here to go, speak the Iliad here with this.
Was Dick Dastardly a character that Americans are familiar with? No? Is that an American cartoon character?
Was he also trying to get off of jury duty?
We'll get an image of Dick Dastardly. We certainly wouldn't have got on a jury, but there we go. Kevin, David, as facial hair exponents, let's give Ripley a hit, a miss, or a maybe.
Oh my gosh, really? It's definitely a miss. Sorry, Ripley. Sorry.
But is that a good effort? David?
He's going to go to one of those mustache competitions and get a prize, and then he'll show you.
Maybe just get a picture of Dick Dastardly up on the screen here for all those who are watching on YouTube. I'm just getting a random photo. I make apologies in advance for any text around about it. That's Dick Dastardly.
And it had Muttley, and who was the woman?
Muttley. There we go. The wacky races.
Wacky races, yes. I remember watching those anyway. Back in the day.
I suppose, yes, the watch world is one big wacky race. When we come on to Formula One shortly. But Pete, Ripley, you were having a brief discussion about, before we joined the show, about can you upset Rolex? Let's continue that discussion.
Yeah, I suppose my point was maybe it's different for me. I was maybe talking about as a relatively small, individual, do they even acknowledge that I exist? And as a result, can I conceivably upset them? I imagine there probably is a point at which your media profile might, but in general, do they care about anyone outside of their own little love-in?
Well, I think they care about, just like any giant multinational brand, they care about the individual consumers collectively. But I think the opinion of a singular person and, that what that person does is more or less irrelevant to them. They're kind of untouchable in that regard. But, they've built this reputation by actually caring about, what they produce, and what they produce, they do incredibly well at a very, very large scale. So I think they do really ultimately care about the customers. A lot of their retail efforts to make these desirable models more available and not just end up in the hands who go back of people who end up just selling them down the street for the profit is ultimately to cater to the end buyers. But in terms of, I think, what one person says or one person's opinions about the matter, I think there's very little that a sole individual could do to upset Rolex in a big way.
Ariel, you ever upset Rolex?
Yeah, probably. I wasn't trying to do it like Pete. I want to respond to that statement. I don't think that Rolex cares about the individual, and I don't mean that in a negative way towards them. I think that their philosophy is, we care about watches. If you also care about watches, maybe you'll like what we do, but nothing about how Rolex works really is intended to appease any one consumer. And if you feel that Rolex or any other brand has slighted you or not recognizing you, that's a legitimate feeling. Take your money elsewhere and don't try to upset them. That's like trying to get the hot girl's attention by, throwing a drink in her face.
David, have you ever seen Ariel upset Rolex?
Yeah,
regularly.
Of course. I mean, we have a meeting every year, so it's bound to happen,
Have you ever seen Ariel throw water in the hot girl's face?
No. He's a gentleman.
There we go.
I'm very thirsty.
There we go. There we have it.
That
too. Good stuff, grand. Right, Ariel, why don't you tell us what you're doing, if you're allowed to, in Milan?
I'm not sure. I will find out in a couple of hours. There's an event for D1 Milano. They tried to explain to me the nature of the event multiple times, and I was quite interested. I still am not quite sure. It's something to do with watches,
if it involves
and there'll be people
smoke.
there. Maybe.
No smoke
I don't know.
involved.
I don't know if they're making the Pope of watches. That would be interesting. I would like to tell you more about what I'm going to see. I'm still trying to figure. I'm doing a podcast with them all about the topic, which I have yet to wrap my mind around. So let's hope in a couple of hours I will know why I'm in Milan.
I think the concept of the Pope of watches is quite an interesting one. Who would be the Pope? What would be the Pope of watches?
It'd have to have a great hat.
Reggae, probably.
We have a pontiff.
Hat. A pontiff.
A pontiff.
Oh, yeah.
But that's Archie Luxury.
Oh, it's Australian, yeah.
Yes, good point. Good point. Yes, there is only one Archie Luxury, thankfully.
Is he in the running to be elected? Yes. I don't know.
Is he in the running? I mean, I don't know how you...
The Conclave, Archie Luxury Edition.
Has anyone seen Conclave? I'm told it's quite good and probably bad timing. Very successful feat.
It's supposed to be excellent. It's supposed to be an amazing film, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yes, it's good. I saw it.
Is it effectively a documentary in...
No, it's a soap opera at the Vatican.
Not... Yeah, okay. Right, okay. Cool, well, let's see that all play out. So you don't know what you're doing in Milan, and when will you come home from Milan?
Tomorrow.
So it's
and then we have our highly oversubscribed party in New York with Citizen, which... there's like 400% more people that want to go than we can let in, which is an interesting situation for us to be. So I have to play
So I should stop
bouncer.
Inviting people to it is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was told. Yeah.
Just earlier today, I did posted something on Instagram saying, "Yeah, come to this. This cool, super titanium's awesome." But
yes,
I wanted to be big.
Podcast.
Apologies.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, look, I have no idea if this exhibit is eventually going to be open to more of the public. Citizen has a few days of it, but I'm happy this is proving to be so popular. I just remember at the beginning of this, somebody was talking about titanium, and this entire event is about titanium. So if you are into titanium, come see what the Citizen is doing, because it's far more practical than Rolex's titanium. I got to say that. Once you have a scratch
and has a far longer history.
Yeah, never go back to like untreated titanium. It scratches if you sneeze.
Okay. So what's actually happening is just go around and look at the nice watches, or is there something?
No, it's like they're doing this big exhibit. They have like an installation. It's not at a store. It's in like some venue. They're building out this big thing. I don't know if you remember at Basel World, Citizen used to have these very elaborate, beautiful booths. And I think they miss having stuff like that. So they're announcing a new color of their super titanium coating. It's like, I think they call it amber yellow. It's apparently supposed to look a little bit like gold. We'll see. But it's really another way of explaining to people what super titanium is all about. What I found, which is interesting, is that men like titanium and women don't understand it. And Citizen wants to sell a lot more super titanium watches to women. So the first thing is that women need to develop a relationship with titanium, which apparently is not as well developed as men's, esteem for the metal. So that's part of the thing, is to sit there and explain, hey, what's the big deal of titanium? Because even though maybe all of us understand it, I think the regular person doesn't understand why it's such an ideal watch material, and then what Citizen does to it, which makes it just that much more practical.
So of the 400 attendees, do we know how many are slated to be women for this to work?
You want to know what? More than half of the RSVPs coming in were women. I don't understand it, but this is the most female popular aBlogtoWatch event we've ever done. And I was suspicious at first. Cool. I was like, why do all these relatively young, hip women want to go to this event? But yeah, I mean, I can't let most people in, but yeah, it should be, if I do my thing correctly. What?
You know why? Have you seen that mustache that Ripley's growing? It's clearly. Let's just zoom. I don't know if I can highlight.
They probably have mistaken my thin, hairless wrist and recent wrist shot articles as a female wrist, and we've garnered a large female audience among Citizen now.
Look at that! Look at how that watch looks on that wrist. It looks huge.
That may be right.
I can wear that.
We'll never know. Internet popularity confounds me at this point.
Yes, most things confound me at this point, but there we go. Right, first article for discussion. Wait a minute. Legibility is the most important part of watch design. This is an article from Mike. Don't know who has had a chance to read it, but the title is fairly self-explanatory. So on a scale of 1 to 10, David, how important is legibility? Of all the watches you've got, what percentage of the watches you own are genuinely legible, and others are like, yeah, I kind of just like the watch?
I don't think twice about even just the prospect of buying a watch that is illegible. It's not a watch for me unless it has tons of diamonds on it. That's the only excuse. If it's dripping with diamonds, then okay, I will turn an eye there. But if you look at this Patek Philippe, for example, or this, it's ridiculous. It's like camouflage basically for hands, those dials. And I understand these are artsy pieces and all the rest of them, but this is still within the realms of where I miss legibility, right? So I think,
but then there is one of the watches discussed on here is I still think one of both of our favorite watches, which is this, the Octo Finissimo Sajima. Yes. It's still the coolest. I think this is still my favorite watch of the last 10 years.
Thank you.
Ariel,
that's good. That's good.
Legibility, good thing or bad thing, or doesn't actually matter. It's part of the whole.
I mean, it matters once you have it on the wrist. That's the thing that I think the brands understand. Many consumers are not as experienced as we are, and just sort of get excited. Oh, it looks cool, it looks pretty. Isn't until they wear it for a few days or even weeks, or they're like, wait a minute, I can't even see what time it is. And then what we find is people end up wearing them a lot less. And so the correct question is, if someone is going to wear your watch for a while, meaning they'll keep it, not resell it, not regret their purchase, it needs to be legible. not enough consumers know to look for legibility right away because they kind of assume that the watchmakers thought about that, right? It's sort of like a car. When you buy it, yeah, you assume it has brakes. You wouldn't buy a car and be like, wait a minute, these brakes suck. Like, you just assume it's going to stop. And it's the same thing with watches. You kind of assume that you could read the time. Some people, it takes a while for them to realize, like, oh, wait, it's not legible. Like, we're experienced. We know what to look for. In like 2 seconds, we're like, that's not legible. But again, a lot of consumers have yet to pick that up. They're excited. Oh, it's skeletonized. Oh, look at that fancy design. I responded to this article in a comment. I've, of course, written about this years ago. And what I have found is that the most popular watches on the market are very legible. And so if you use that as sort of a baseline, you'll say that, yes, it's important because that's what people end up buying in mass. So yes, they might once in a while buy an illegible watch. Oftentimes they'll end up not wearing it. And those watches are more often than not never going to be that popular.
Ripley, most legible and illegible watches you own or like?
I like on both sides of the equation. I think, if below a certain price point, if it's something people are going to actually use as a watch on a daily basis, Ariel's right. You just are going to gravitate towards the ones you can actually see. But then you get to this other side where practicality is clearly not the prime objective, like the Sejima, like anything just absolutely splattered in diamonds, certain design focus pieces. And I mean, that Patek is absolutely laughable. It's set to 1010 and I only know that because I know what time it's supposed to be set to. Like that's beyond a camouflage. Even the angle of the motif is identical. But, there is a point where if the design is so interesting and lovely that I really don't care, it's not going to be a watch I end up wearing on a daily basis, which is a shame if it's incredibly expensive, like many of these are. But I would just so happily own some of these Hublots or that Sejima Bulgari simply because of how cool they are. It has nothing to do with, its functionality. It's not going to get the wrist time it deserves for how cool it is because it isn't legible. But I think it really has to be packing something special in the legibility department. But if it is, I'm actually okay with it being completely unreadable in all lighting conditions.
InView makes the point, I think, that he's trying to make on the screen is that something that's legible is now just referred to as the classic version. It's classic because we can read it. Whereas the modern ones, we've covered them in diamonds. Put funny dials on it. But the classic one's the one that you can read. Pete, thoughts on legibility or illegibility?
I don't care. Look, I'm a double wrister. I have a Garmin on 24/7. If I can't read the watch I'm wearing, I just check the Garmin. And for me, the most important thing about a watch is that it's exciting. If it's not exciting, I'll never take it out of the watch box. So legibility is very much second fiddle. I do find it interesting.
You literally said you will not take a legible watch off. You were just saying
it's not a watch. It's my Garmin.
Whatever it is, you need to know the time on your wrist. I'm just saying, like you love watches a lot, which is great, but you'll go so far as to wear two in order to get legibility. Like that's extreme, right? Like I applaud you for the effort, but I'm going to argue that legibility is important to you.
No, because I don't wear it to tell the time.
Okay,
that's
you wear something to tell the time, though.
But no, not really. You're surrounded by clocks. I'm sitting here right now, and I've got like 5 things telling me what the time is. For me, a watch is entirely a fashion accessory. It's got to be exciting before it's anything else, or it has no point. And I do find it interesting that at the same time as we're, sort of upping the idea of legibility, we're also saying we want smaller and smaller watches. I don't know if anyone's ever actually tried to use a 36 millimeter chronograph, but
I've never said that, by the way.
Exercise in pointlessness. But
has anyone? I'm just realizing I know the answer to this question because I have owned a clock that actually was also illegible. But any clocks that are illegible? Anybody own? I've owned one whereby it was a wall clock, and when you looked at it, you're like, I don't actually know what time that says it is.
I like
when they're not the wrong way around.
They're not mine. Like you're walking by a building in the city, and there's like an absolutely illegible clock, and you go, huh. That's interesting. And you can just look at your phone or watch or anything else to actually reference the time. I like it when you can appreciate it for the art perspective, but having an illegible clock in my house would be the most infuriating thing. You need it to serve one purpose. It doesn't serve the one purpose. You look to it as the reliable source for that one purpose, and it can't do that one thing.
Let's test that theory. Kevin, how many of the clocks in your house currently tell the right time, or have you yet to reset them for British summertime?
No, I have reset them. The only clock in the house, technically you can call it a clock, is the clock for the oven, or is that? That's the only one.
That's a clock.
It's a clock, and it counts. So yeah, that's been reset. I generally err on the side of what Peter and Ripley have said. Basically, legibility is a second factor. It's about the overall design of a watch, which attracts me. I mean, I'm a big Omega fan, and one of the worst ones they've ever did was the Apollo 17 40th anniversary, which is totally illegible. It's basically a dollar as a dial.
Yeah, the coin.
The coin. You can't see anything. Hence, I've never bought it, but I'm still thinking about it because it's a different design. It's different. It's funky. It's out there, and that's what attracts me to watches. Anything that's different, anything is special.
Oh, I want to talk about the Movado effect with the museum dial. And obviously everyone remembers the Movado museum dial was very, very popular, especially in the 1990s. And that's a different type of illegibility, right? That just has no markers really at all for the most part. And there's a lot of watches out there that don't have that. That for me is a little bit different than when they have markers and you still can't see them. But the sort of naked dials that mostly focus on some type of artistic representation, I can see where there's an allure there because some of them are legitimately very pretty. There's a lot of watches on the market that have no markers at all, and I like some of them. I lament that they're difficult to tell the time. One of the things that annoys me is it's difficult to set the time because I'm not really quite sure, unless it's like right on the hour or something, exactly what time it is. So I also make accommodations for some of these watches because they are pretty, but I just can't help but be annoyed all the time I'm wearing them. But I agree, there's some very pretty watches that are hard to tell the time.
Okay, so is it just that legibility is the first thing that goes out the window when you actually find something you really, really like that's not... Is it like a tipping point topic? You really want something to be legible until you see the Bulgari Sajima, and then you go, actually, you know what, this is so cool, I don't care that I can't read it.
So this is my rule. My rule is, can I see the hands?
It's got 100% importance, and then it goes,
If I can see the hands, I'll wear it. There's the issue where you can't even see the hands, right? So there's different types of illegible, right? Like you see hands, you don't know where they go. Or there's markers in hands, you just can't see them. If there's markers in hands and you just can't see them, you've lost me. If I can see the hands and there's no markers, okay. In some instances, I'll wear it.
Can we have an agreement on the aBlogtoWatch editorial team that we file both Moser watches under H. Moser and also under Moser? Because I always forget that we file them under H. Moser. So when I'm looking for the Moser watch that no one can read because it has no hands on it, I can't find it as quickly.
I mean, isn't that their whole shtick about no markers, just elegant hands, no logo, but instantly, because of the design.
That one was a minute repeater, wasn't it? So theoretically,
you could only hear the time. Yeah, you could only hear the time. You couldn't see it. How would you set it?
A reference watch.
That was an interesting question. There we go. Here we go. Here is the Moser, for those watching on YouTube, the Swiss Concept Black. Any resemblance to an Apple Watch is purely figurative. It was
Ariel
Moser
and I saw this at Cupertino at Apple Park.
There you go.
I approve of that.
I mean, cool. Yeah. So when it gets to just uber cool, legibility just seems to go out the window. It seems to be something we're prepared to jettison quite quickly if we really find something that we really quite like.
I would say if you're spending $350,000 on a watch, you are always on time for everything because nothing starts until you get there.
That's also a very good point. And you've also got a Garmin on your other wrist. Isn't that right, Pete?
And you're probably wearing a Garmin.
Garmin as well. You're surrounded by clocks. Those clocks are probably atop a castle or a chapel that you have in your own house on some estate. And yes, there is probably a little man wandering around with a pocket watch reminding you to be at a meeting. So there we go. There is the topic of legibility. Do tell us in the chat as to what you think, what your most legible or illegible watch is. Quick check-in with Formula One, just because we have Kevin and Pete who couldn't give two hoots. So an ideal person to give opinion. Oscar Piastri, therefore Richard Mille currently sitting atop the watch. Although if we take McLaren and Ferrari total points and divide them by 2, I think it puts Richard Mille mid-table. So technically at the moment, I think Tag is winning. Is Tag currently winning in Formula One, and how the sponsorship is going? I'm seeing LV, MH and LV signs everywhere on the track. Is any of this, although it's early doors still, starting to sink in to the great Formula One public?
Well, there was something that was entirely not Tag's fault that just does not reflect well on the official timekeeper of F1. The timer on the cars was not working right, especially not on George Russell's car in the race before last. And clearly Tag isn't the one producing these little gizmos that get mounted on the onboard computer systems. However, that one thing the timing tower is supposed to do is to give the times of the cars, and that wasn't happening properly. But I think it looks good having a running seconds hand on the official F1 clock.
Legibility, it turns out, is
the
what
dive
you're talking
bezel
about.
is another matter. We don't need that, but I do like the running seconds hand. That is really good for Tag.
Do you think it turns?
What?
The dive bezel.
I mean, if you pull it hard enough, right? I don't.
most things will turn if you pull them hard enough. That is true. That is certainly true. David, you big F1 fan. Any thoughts and comments of how it's going?
Not much. I already am looking forward to the next Korea Formula One watch. That's for sure. I will agree with Ripley on that.
There'll be another one along, no doubt. I mean, how many watches do you think they will stick out this year on with Formula One tie-ins? Bear in mind, there's also a film coming out that IWC are going to have a go at.
Didn't they say they're going to release a new colorway, sort of like which each race or event or something like that? Because I understand that only one's available now, and they're releasing them to coincide, I think, with specific races. That's my understanding.
It can't be every one, but maybe some for the big ones. There's a lot that Tag could do. They could change the race clock to be the Monaco for the Monaco Grand Prix. They've already started to switch up the watches on the driver's wrist. So for the Red Bull drivers, you used, like all last season, you'd see some iteration of a Monaco. Except Checo at the end. Now, Max has been seen wearing the gold Carrera a lot of the time, but it seems that they're kind of shifting focus to that side of things. So they're clearly trying to go more into their catalog. But I think if they did a new colorway for each race, it'd be problematic because, like, the US has multiple 3 Grand Prix by ourselves, so we could only do so many red, white, and blue full America modes.
You think there's a limit to how much red, white, and blue you can celebrate in America?
No, look at the 4th of July. The limit does not exist.
There's like 100 countries that have red, white, and blue in their flag or something.
Yeah.
That's
including
very true.
The UK.
I think
including the UK.
Yeah, and Australia.
Yeah. France. Is there French Grand Prix this year?
Netherlands.
No.
Right, cool. Well, that's the Formula One standings for those that still care this far into the season and haven't already got bored of the whole shooting match. Let's break into some hit-miss maybe early, seeing as everybody is here. We're going to have a wee tour through the flyback edition from Mike. This is his regular catch-up article. The Flyback Watches and Wonders Detox edition with Timex, Nodus, and a boring Blancpain. So let's start off with the boring Blancpain 50 Fathoms Steel 5010. Is this a return to what you want Blancpain to do with their dive watches, which is just
what year is it?
A boring dive? True. Just produce a boring dive watch. David, you have opinions. I can tell they're strong with this one.
He had the singular best line on this that we saw this come in under embargo, and he just says, the embargo looks like it lifted in 2007. You know, I think that completely accurately describes this piece.
Yeah. But is that I was confused when I saw that there was an embargo on this. I'm like, if you just launch this, no one will say like, huh, what? And if it breaks the embargo, let's picture that. Let's play around with that for like 2 weeks or a month. Who's going to copy it, or what's going to happen within those? Like, I understand this concentrated effort, for a launch or something like that. So for communication purposes, I understand an embargo, but all other purposes, it's kind of ridiculous for a watch that looks like. Again, 2009 or 07 or something like that.
Maybe
it doesn't look new at all, but it's still nice. The 50 Fathoms, look, the 5015 is the big one. That's the 45 millimeter one. Then there was like a smaller 40. The 5010 is the 42. So it's sort of like a really good size. Nothing about this looks new, but this steel watch on the bracelet is still a really awesome watch. But not new looking at all.
But it is indeed a nice watch.
Maybe by putting embargo on the press release, they just hope that Revolution would break the embargo automatically and therefore get it more PR.
If they didn't say embargo, no one would write about it. There'd be no one writing about it at all.
Exactly. If embargo, let's break the embargo. I know what we'll do on the World's Most. But I don't know. I like the fact that this is what you want. This is what you want Blancpain to do. Produce a boring 42 mil entirely wearable 50 Fathoms that makes you go, yeah, I'm not wearing a Rolex. I'm wearing this instead. So I quite like this, I have to say. Although the line in the article, this is a steel 42 millimeter 50 Fathoms, and I'm only sharing it so we can all collectively shout boo to this brand. There we go. Right,
there should be a brand called
Nolex. Is this? 18,000 US.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
What?
It's not cheap. I mean, bear in mind it's 18,000 US. In the rest of the world, because of the tanking of the dollar, this is only about $9,000. It's only in the United States this watch is now really expensive.
That is insane. How do they come up with $18,000?
Very simple. They take the brands they like
Patek
Philippe or Audemars Piguet, and then just say, "How can we? What's a reasonable discount from that?" It's because everyone else charges more that they think this is a good deal.
All the executives at Blancpain look at the watches they're actually wearing in their wrist and decide what the average price of those is for the one that they're producing.
What a still 42 watch.
I mean, we joke, but Ariel's probably nailed it. I think that's exactly how they price these things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say, watch designers don't sit down and design a watch in sort of isolation, and then they sit down. Then the accountants come in, figure out what that's going to cost, and say, "There's our price."
Hold on, is David's point not that they didn't design this watch at all? They just kind of just put the watch back out again.
Well, that was it. They said, we need an $18,000 watch. Come on, designers.
Inflation calculator, 2007 to 2025.
Right. Let's give it a vote. Is this a hit, a miss, or a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. I think it's a hit. It's a maybe, a hit, a miss, a maybe. Right, David? It's a maybe from you.
It's
just
a maybe.
For the reasons already discussed.
Yeah, it's expensive, but if you think about it, it's not that expensive for Blancpain, and with the inflation and all the rest of it taken into account. Can you buy better watches for less? You always can, and at the end of the day, you will end up with an F91W from Casio, for $10. So we can play that game.
I'm just going to share this because you'll find this amusing. Blancpain's homepage, the thing that comes out is this phrase, "There is eternity in every Blancpain." I think it's kind of rearranged. Every Blancpain has been around exactly the same for all eternity. It's the same watch.
Eternity is expensive.
It's expensive. There you go. There's the tech. I wonder how far down. The novelties. These watches are the same.
Wow.
But there we go. Yeah.
Are you on Wayback Machine?
Webarchives.org. Ariel, how'd you vote?
I give it a thumbs up. It's not money I would spend. I mean, obviously, I'd wait for a nice, healthy discount, but this is a super pretty, classic, wearable watch. If you want like a high-end diver that's very attractive, the steel is very well polished. Even though this movement's not new, it's still an amazing performer. I would wear the hell out of this watch. I think it's really great. The 45 might be a bit big for me right now, but this is just, I've worn other versions of this watch. I've worn the titanium, I wore the gold one. So yeah, I'm not going to sit there and justify the price because I can't, but it's still ultimately a very satisfying timepiece.
In 1862, Franz Ludwig Loebner began his career making precision timekeepers in what would become Germany. Settling in Berlin, he received an official clockmaker's mandate from the king and quickly gravitated towards the then pioneering technology of creating precise instruments to measure short durations of time. In 1881, Loebner was already an exclusive mark thanks to their ability to mass-produce chronographs able to measure 1/100th of a second. Just a few years later, they developed a clock able to measure 1/1000th of a second for sports and scientific purposes. Loebner continued to be a recognized German leader in precise and reliable high-accuracy timekeeping into the 20th century. They were among the first to use highly precise electric switches to trigger their mechanical measuring devices in order to overcome the limitations of human response time. Loebner has now been revived for a modern era. The company continues its long legacy of creating precise and beautiful timing equipment for today's demanding users. The Loebner Steel Racer features a novel chronograph-focused dial with an eccentric reading of the time and a sliding crown guard system. The time-only Loebner Sledge model features a smaller 100-meter water-resistant case and a new inner rotating timing bezel system. Learn more about the history of precision timekeeping instruments and the new Loebner wristwatch collection at lbnr.com.
I do love the fact that on the website for those, whose alarm's going off? Somebody's got to wake up. That it tells you on the technical specifications, they've got a gem setting. No, that they need to specify that this watch had, just in case the pictures didn't reveal that there was no diamonds on this spectacularly plain watch. It has.
Oh, so you think that because
no
they're not focusing on new watch designs, they're focused on new website designs? Because that's clearly not the case at Blancpain either.
Yeah. just got into websites. Ripley, how did you vote?
I said maybe. I mean, it is a categorically...
You said maybe, but in a slightly depressing way.
It's a really boring release. This is a watch that could have existed anytime in the last decade, and people would have still called it a bit dated. It's not a bad watch, you know what I mean? Like, they do make some pretty interesting looking 50 Fathoms. They make some in plastic via Swatch. Yeah, you know, it's not a bad watch. It's like Rolex also makes a ton of boring watches that are great. So, you know, this makes sense for Blancpain to offer. It's most interesting they didn't already offer this exact watch. But, I mean, you can't give it a miss maybe on the price alone. But, like, it's a solid release at a good size. It's very marketable. It's expensive, but I mean, they make many worse watches.
Pete, can you think of many worse watches? Kevin clearly can. He's giggling to himself already.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think I'd agree with everything that Ripley said. The only thing is, I think all of that makes it a hit. It's a watch which is hard to get excited about because you all kind of assumed it was already out. But, you know, the Blancpain's an attractive watch. It's well made. It's well finished. Comes from a good brand. Excellent movement. It's priced where this brand is likely to be. Yeah, I think it's going to be fine.
It's going to be fine. Is everything going to be fine in the end, Kevin Roberts?
No. I'm sorry. We're all doomed.
It's starting with Blancpain. Blancpain was the final straw. Everything going on in the world, all the chaos, tragedy, death, and horror, and it was Blancpain producing a watch that it looked like they'd already been producing for the past 50 years that just tipped the world into Armageddon and chaos.
We've all gone back in time. I mean, to be perfectly honest, yeah, it's a handsome watch. I'm sure it's extremely well made, and the movement it's just an old movement. But for 18,000,
Kevin has frozen. There we go.
Down the Rolex route, and if you got a Submariner grey market, it's still cheaper than that. And that's a hot watch. It's just, I'm sorry, Blancpain, what are you smoking? What are you smoking over there in sunny Switzerland?
Can you send us some in a box?
Yeah.
Well, if you remember, the brand smokes a lot of cigars. That's clearly part of their identity. And then they eat, and then they gamble. So, yes. Blancpain's statement is, well, if you cannot afford it, I am so sorry. I mean, that's literally their attitude. It's fine. But they don't care. They're like, our clients love this stuff. All 12 of them.
Do you think they make any money? When was the last time
When's the last time
made
Blancpain
money?
or Breguet made a penny? I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Do they get any?
17 something? I don't know.
In the modern... they've made money once. But in the modern world of economics, is that sustainable? Big business.
They seem to think so.
Owned by a big business. Is it sustainable to just have brands that just make no money?
Ariel's written about this a number of times, that a large number of the people that are in, a lot of the people that are in this are in it for reasons other than making money.
Mm-hmm.
People like Bugatti because they lose money. If Bugatti was making money, nobody would care about Bugatti. The excitement that they spend so much money trying to get their stuff to work and develop it, that's what's exciting. Like if Swatch wasn't making money, then there's an issue. So if you're a volume brand, you're not making money, you have an issue. But if you're like a very low volume passion brand, nobody actually wants you to make money. They want all of that money to go back into products.
Okay, well, so what's Breguet? What's Blancpain's excuse? Because they're clearly not putting all the money back into product. It's the same product. What are they doing with it?
Yeah,
just increasing the price, adding zeros.
I mean, Mark Hayek is welcome to come on the show. I mean, he can come on and we can chat all about what he's smoking. That'd be a great conversation.
Any watch executive that wants to come on the show is always more than welcome. So,
Mark, we have a safe place for you here.
Open.
Where you're amongst watch lovers. We may not agree with everything you do, but at least we can have a laugh about it.
Or indeed anything. Yes, we can have a giggle about it. Right, let's have a giggle about Timex. The Timex 1995 Intrepid reissue. At least these guys
is where I get angry.
It's a reissue rather than his thinking. Yeah, no, I think this is a watch for Ariel to discuss. Go on, Ariel. Tell us about it.
Okay,
you had the original, didn't you? You had 3 of them.
No. If you were an American growing up when these watches were popular, you would remember how unglamorous where you purchased them was, right? Like in the drugstore or like the sporting good department of like Walmart or something like that. Like these watches were cheesy then. Like the statement on the strap, like never look good. Nobody had any idea who would use a watch like this or where. It was sort of like a vestige. It was like somewhere between the new technology era and the past, and it didn't really fit in. It was like, I remember kept thinking to myself, why doesn't that person just buy a digital watch? Like it's not a pretty watch. Just get a digital watch that will actually be the tool that you want it to be. So for me, this is always for like stubborn people that really want a digital watch, but can't give up hands. That's really all this is.
Can't give up hands. Yeah, I'm assuming that this picture from the Timex website, that's the original. That's Ripley before he grows. Look at that hair. Isn't that luxurious hair? That's like your hair,
is he
David.
Supposed to like hold a phone, but he's not? Is that like cell phone goes here? What is that? What is that?
It's the most actually, you know what? Let's just try and reenact that position. So I'm looking over my right shoulder. It's like Twister for watches. Look over your right shoulder and then put your right arm round and hold your left ear. That's why would you ever? And then show your wrist. Yeah, I don't think that's just
because
I don't think that's
Timex
wears
wears
a mirrored image.
all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a mirrored.
I think it's getting ready to give a paparazzi a backhander.
Just a whack. It's
I
a
still
very.
think
Can you
he's
imagine?
flexing.
With your
Still
Timex.
flexing to a woman. So,
Yeah,
he's
Timex.
doing his hair. He's got the wash on show. Yeah, he's trying to impress a woman.
He's swept his hair back.
What man wearing a suit ever wore this and thought he was being appropriate? Okay.
We've all
everyone in the 90s probably.
So much to say.
Listen. We've all done it. We've all brushed our hair back or adjusted what we were wearing in such a manner that
to show off our
flashes our
Timex.
sleeves up our wrist just to show off our watch, just to show off. Maybe not a Timex, but we've all done it. We've all gone, I'm just going to show this person that
this guy's going around saying, do you have Indiglow?
Do you have
Indiglow? I have Indiglow.
It's the fact that it's a picture taken during the day. Sure, that kind of defeats the purpose of Indiglow. Like, you need a shot of it at night, presumably. Mind you, at night, this guy's probably a stalker. So maybe not.
We can keep making fun of this. We can go on the entire show. There's so much to say about this.
Yeah. Isn't that supposed to be RFK Jr.? I think it is.
Is Indigo not like that? Presumably, I would have thought he was the kind of guy that was against Indigo for completely superfluous and unscientific reasons. But he was the kind of guy, Indigo, no, not touching that. That's magic. That's witchcraft. Indigo, witches. There are witches here. Anyway, right. Let's give it a vote, a hit, a miss, or a maybe. Of course, it's a hit. 1, 2, 3, go. It's a cheap watch. Ariel's giving it a miss. So is Ripley. This is ridiculous. Kevin's frozen. So who knows? Or maybe he's not. Maybe he's just sitting really, really still again. Right, David.
Oh, it's always a hit. Yeah, I love Indiglow. I like hands. I think it's a cool piece. Maybe a little bit too large, but it's down my alley. It's pretty good stuff.
I want all the hands down my alley. That could now, of course, that's the kind of.
Oh yeah, your explanation of this was exactly, or description was exactly me. That's me right there. Like it.
That is my hair and my right hand over my left shoulder.
I wouldn't wear it with a suit.
Wouldn't wear it with a suit. What's the most inappropriate? It probably is actually the most inappropriate watch you could wear with a suit. You're wearing a suit to a wedding, and you've got a Timex Indiglow on.
Everyone knows who the psycho is if you wear this with a suit.
as at the wedding reception, the guy hands you a business card with both hands. He says, "Here's my business card. Have you noticed it also has got Indiglow on it?" Right, Ariel, you voted no.
This watch was from an era where people still had to buy a watch to tell the time. And so this was an inexpensive, sporty watch that you got because you're like, well, I need something to tell the time. It wasn't pretty back then. It's not pretty now. Your money can be much better spent at Timex for something better. I do love the brand very, very much. I just think that this was... maybe someone will buy it, but someone like me who's interested in pretty watches, I'm just immediately going to dismiss this thing.
Ripley's taking his hat off. Ripley's contemplating
really
shaving
sweaty all of a
watch.
sudden, and I don't know if it's the watch that's part, but probably why I gave it a miss. It's not a very good looking watch. I think there's other better implementations at Indiglow. I guess it's nice if you want to wear this with a suit and have access to the time as you stalk whoever you're stalking. There's this man in the ad clearly
compulsively touching your hair.
It's just not. Wiping the blood of your victim off. It's just not the watch for me. Again, I love Timex. I think they make a lot of cool stuff. But $200 is a bit rich for kind of what's a novelty design from that brand. And you can go get yourself a lot of fun for less from them. So it's a miss.
This guy probably has, to be fair. When I hold my ear, that's when the police come through the door. Pete, how did you vote?
I went maybe because it's absolutely not for me. I don't have any emotional connection to Timex. So that's not going to get me through the door. As has been said, it's not an attractive watch. But, there's an audience for this stuff, like there's an audience for G-Shocks, so which are not pretty watches. So, yeah, there's a niche for everything.
Kevin, is it in your niche?
I would vote this a hit. I'm sorry, guys. I actually do like it. It reminds me of somebody getting their first watch, first day job watch or night job, actually, depending on what you're doing at
night. Then they got
night.
their first gun.
Yeah.
Shortly afterwards.
It's pretty cool. Sorry. But yeah, I like it. I mean, it's not too bad a price point. $200 is, it's for a Timex, it's a lot of money, but I actually do like it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, definitely.
Right.
And if you're into stalking, 100%. That's the watch to get.
We're going to get a cease and desist from Timex, let's face it. Right, okay, next up then, bear in mind we had a discussion about legibility earlier. The Parmigiani whatever, mysterious minute repeater. It's a mysterious watch. Anyone that needs to tell you that something's mysterious is kind of missing the point, I feel. But there we go. Who would like to speak to this watch? Was it at Watches and Wonders, Ariel, David, Ripley?
Don't know.
Would you have noticed if it was?
No,
did you see it?
It was so mysterious. Yeah, it blended into the carpet.
I can imagine the carpet, because the carpet at Watches and Wonders is kind of that strap color.
I do like the strap color, though. That is a fine nude strap color.
Nude strap color, right? Okay, so it is a minute repeater. Let's go to the Parmigiani website and see some more about it. L'Amoral. It feels like there's too many letters there. I'm assuming it's supposed to be like memorial, like it's a rememberer because it repeats. I don't know. Much like if you've eaten too many beans, it repeats on you. Right. It's got a closed.
Isn't that more like armor? Isn't that like it's an armored watch?
An armored watch. Yeah,
you're protected from seeing the time.
There's pine cones on the website. There's pine cones. Yeah, for those that never want to. Oh, there's a video. Let's play the video. Let's try and turn the noise down because I'm going to have horrible music with it. So there you go. Well, the 43 seconds. You're going to spend 43 seconds. Let's see how much time of the 43 seconds is actually
you
with
see
the
the
full
dial.
watch. Nope, not seen the full watch yet. Not
That's
yet.
where you read the time.
12 seconds in. Still. Well,
those are the
12
hands.
seconds in before they're actually prepared. No.
Those little peripheral letters are the hands.
What that is. Little peripheral letters.
Yeah, on the back of the watch.
You
see around.
Markers.
Those are the hands. That's it.
Oh, where am I looking?
It's on the back of the watch.
Are you having a? All right, okay. I need to see the back. So they've not actually shown us how you tell the time on it yet.
No, they have. It's just very mysterious.
And it just fades.
There's our hands. That's our hand.
Yeah.
Oh, jinx.
Hours.
And then there's another one that says minutes.
Right, okay. So how's this? There's another one that says minutes. Yeah. So we need to stop this video exactly the right point. So there's an
There's
E.
so mysterious.
So a little bit more. There it is. Boom.
It's
legibility at its finest.
You can't.
Where you want it most on the back of a watch.
The whole watch.
The target demographic does not have the near sight vision to make any of these letters out on this scale. It's impossible for them. What time is it? I don't know. Let me listen to it. That's why it's a minute repeater.
That's right. But then, if you've got that bad eyesight, have you probably got the hearing? What it really needs is the Bluetooth connection between the watch and your hearing aid, so that you can actually
illegible.
Legible.
Illegible.
Let's vote on this. Is it a hit? Is it a miss? Is it a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. Miss, hit. Go on then, David. Tell us why it's a hit.
It's a hit. I mean, it's an amazing looking watch, cool concept, neat movement. And if I like the Moser minute repeater an hour ago with no hands, then I have to like this.
Yeah, that's probably true. I'm now looking for ways. It appears to have disappeared off the website. In the process of me clicking on the Parmigiani website and then going back, the watch has become increasing. Oh, there we go. It's Objet Art. Does it tell you how much it is, or is there an online chat that I can have a word with a sales agent to tell me? No,
It's hundreds of thousands for sure.
Hundreds of thousands. No, it's not there.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. Life is too short to be unable to read the time on a wristwatch, according to Boris. Ariel, is life too short in general, and is it certainly too short for this nonsense?
I mean, look, if they handed me one and say enjoy, okay. But like, it's not where my money is going. I don't have this fascination with minute repeaters like other people do. They're fine. I would prefer, honestly, what I want is a striker. I want watches that automatically tell it, because I think that having to activate it around other people is kind of a weird social thing to do. It's like, check out my chimes. It's just weird. It's cooler if it just sort of goes on randomly.
You're wearing,
Yes.
let's say, a $300,000 watch, and you think the weird anti-social thing to do amongst your peers is to select the minute repeater to fire, as opposed to the obscene wealth that you're displaying wearing yours. Or are you just assuming that everybody else is also displaying? In fact, there's a thing. See if you're the guy in the room wearing the minute repeater, and everybody else is also absolutely loaded. If somebody puts off their minute repeater, are you then like, oh, that's me got permission to put mine off now? Then suddenly all these minute repeaters are going off in the one room. Has anyone ever been in a room where more than one minute repeater has been used at the same time by two different brands?
Well, yes.
Ariel, you must have been to one of those parties.
Oh, yeah. It's like an
folk are
awkward
literally
form
showing
of
off their minute
peacocking.
repeaters to each other.
It's a weird form of peacocking, and I'd rather like be like more subtle. Like, I didn't mean for my striker to go off, but it is 15 past the hour.
And
So,
then there's the different types of
Belcanto that
repeaters.
goes off.
Well, the Belcanto, you get a little ding and that's over.
Ding.
And then meanwhile, the guy with the full Westminster chimes is still playing the intro to the song, just going at it, you know? The different things. You know, the guy with the quarter repeater, his ends a bit sooner than the full repeater. And then there's the hierarchy
But
to
there
it. So
are
whenever he
fancy
plays, there's
strikers.
the one.
There are strikers that do all that. They're not all cheap and make one ding. I mean, like, I'm like the only one that doesn't like the Belcanto because it doesn't sound exciting and it's very rudimentary technology. But they have strikers that are as complicated as minute repeaters. They're just uncommon.
Then you're going to be really disappointed later this week when they release the best thing since sliced bread that Christopher would have got planned, which I assume is a tourbillon, is my guess.
I mean, Jacob & Co. has the thing with the whole music box.
Kevin's seen it. Kevin's got some inside knowledge.
I mean, a Westminster chime is nice, but can you beat like the theme song to like Godfather or something just playing on demand?
So what is the progression's the wrong word. What is the league table? So we'll put the Belcanto at the bottom, I think.
With the ding.
Oh, no, actually,
the little ding.
No, maybe it needs to be like your Casio world timer that goes off. You can set the minute repeater to go off every hour or whatever it is. So that the Casio's at the bottom, then the Belcanto. What's next up in the ring of minute repeater type watches? Kevin, if you're speaking, you're on mute. So I'm sure it's hilarious what you're saying, but we can hear none of it. So what's next in the rung?
Well, there's the hour striker, so then it has to be probably a repeater, like a quarter repeater, something like that. But those are quite rare.
Quarter repeater next. So who's the what's the brand
just came
that's
out with
next
one.
up above Chrono Swiss? So you're in the room. The Casio goes off at one. It's running ahead of time, so it goes off. You're the guy wearing the Belcanto. You go, just you wait a wee minute. Mine's just going to go off. He goes bing. And then the Chrono Swiss guy's like, hold on a second. And his Chrono Swiss goes off and goes, give me an impression of a Chrono Swiss going off, somebody. What does a Chrono Swiss sound like when it makes a noise? If there's no one there to listen to a Chrono Swiss minute repeater going off, does it really make a noise?
Probably.
Deep philosophy, probably. So what's after the Chrono Swiss? What's next up in the scale of minute repeaters? Your Chrono Swiss has gone off and you think you're the mutts nuts in the room, and then what goes off next?
I've got a Breitling version.
That's nice to know, Kevin, but what goes off next in the scale of minute repeaters? For what's next up? It's something from who else makes them?
Your Omega X33, and you have the digital arm on that one.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So the Omega, and then do Omega make a mechanical minute repeater?
Yeah, only yes.
Well, they have the chrono chime, but that's not a minute repeater.
Yeah.
Ariel hides his head in shame. Okay,
the big flex is after all the minute repeaters are done going off, the man with the chrono chime has used his chrono chime to time how long it took all of the different minute repeaters to go off. And then once they've all listened and rung out their little chimes, he places his watch on that elaborate stand that resonates it, and then plays the auditory representation of how long everyone's chimes take to sound. And it's the ultimate mic drop on what is just a massive expose of wealth.
Then you have Christophe Claret.
How did you vote?
Well, Christophe Claret had, of course, minute repeaters, but he also made some watches that the chime would activate just as when you push the pushers. So when you activate the chronograph and stuff like that, he was inspired by mobile phones when you touch a button and it beeps. So he thought that would be cool to have every time you pushed a pusher, it would chime. And so I guess that's another step up.
I've got an old Casio robot watch.
And then the guy with the Jacques Dreux chiming bird in the moment of silence activates the bird chirp thing.
That's pretty high on the list. We're already there.
Wheels in.
About to say, Van Cleef and Arpels must have
Van Cleef and Arpels, somebody walks in the room and wheels in an enormous installation. Just continual one-upmanship as this the size of a small telephone box.
Like an Asian gong into the room. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to start pounding on it. Then I win all of these.
Neil Peart is wheeled in on his drum riser with a gong in the background and just gets going with a drum solo with a gong at the end. Okay, right. Ripley, how did you vote to bring this back to some sort of?
I said it's a miss. If they were going to go for such a mysterious dial, I kind of wish the front was a little more elaborate than a pine cone motif. And then if they were going to go that route, similar to what Moser did, just give us something really pretty to look at on the reverse side from a horological perspective. So if they were going to do this motif on the dial and then put it under sapphire, don't make it such a solid case back with the little orbital things. Give us just some really pretty cool movement in there to look at. It's not a bad looking watch. It is. How much is it?
Oh, I don't think they say.
Okay, so
hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. So at a 6-figure price point, I'll give me the Moser with no hands that no one can even set it or tell the time on it.
Yeah. Okie doke. Pete.
I quite like it. It's obviously I'm not going to buy it, but at this point, at this price point, everything's kind of getting silly, and I think it's silly in a pretty kind of way, and it's pretty silly in a Parmigiani kind of way, and so I think I saw somewhere they're making like 5 of these or something. They'll sell 5. They might even have 6 people that want to buy the 5 watches, which probably is something unusual for Parmigiani.
I'm intrigued by the slider. That slider appears to slide an awful long way on that watch to fire the minute repeater. Are most minute repeaters not quite sensitive? That looks like you have to slide it basically from 9 o'clock all the way down to about 7 to make the thing go. Feels like more like a pinball machine than it does a subtle minute repeater on a watch. Kevin, your thoughts on this?
I voted this a hit. I mean, it's quirky, it's cool, it's certainly different. You're right about the slider. It does look extremely long to make it work. However, it's different, and Parmigiani are doing different things. They're going their own way. I'm sure I've heard that before. But
that works well, generally.
Yeah, generally, yeah. But I like it. I mean, obviously, was it 300,000? Nobody seems to know how much it is.
We're guessing.
It's not your everyday watch. It's a special occasion watch just to meet up with your other friends who've got the Casio and, other minute repeaters in the world and just go from there. But
I mean, if you're wearing this watch and you're not around watch people, do most folk not just go, mate, you put your watch on back to front? What are you doing? What are you playing at? Why have you put your watch on backwards? What are you doing?
But I have a secret.
And then you turn it over, and it still looks like you've put it on backwards. Anyway, right. Okay, a little bonus extra because we have a smidgen of time left, and that is from Junghans. the Junghans 1972 competition in black and white, because if you didn't want a Junghans in black, then you can always not want one in white as well. This is a Bulldog type watch, 45.5 mil. This is going to be enormous. Any experience of these kind of watches? Do we like this design? The crown at 12 o'clock. Pete says no. Ripley, it looks like he's being tortured somewhere off screen.
I've
it looks like someone's slowly extracting
I've worn these particular bullhead chronographs.
I love them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are they nice? It doesn't look. This looks like a render, and they don't look round. The watch does not actually look. It looks like it's. They're not. It's not. It's a kind of.
It's not round. It's supposed to be oblong,
elongated.
Yeah, I mean, this is a retro reissue design. Obviously, this is not designed for today. The bullhead was a thing for a while. Omega tried to bring it back. They didn't do a very good job. Seiko's tried to bring it back. Maybe they did a better job. That's probably the worst part of this is the bullhead orientation. The rest of it is actually quite okay. You really have to be one of those people that likes the sort of lugless look because it actually doesn't wear... I mean, it is 45, but it doesn't wear as big because it doesn't have lugs. It's quite comfortable. It wraps around the wrist. It's a quirky racing style chronograph. That's really what it is. And it costs a fraction of what, the other bullheads on the market would cost. I mean, we like Junghans a lot. They obviously have very low brand penetration amongst people, but solid looking watches.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's have a guess how many clicks we need to go on the Junghans website for them to be speaking about this. Have a guess. Ripley.
4.
Let's test that out and then we'll have a vote. So let's share the Junghans website, Junghans USA. Here we go. The home page is here. Oh, we've got a new product scrolling wheel. So maybe it's on here. No, so far. In the whole new products in focus section, they do not focus on their new product on their own website. That's good to know. I can't even see. There we go. There's a pink one. Oh, that's a bull.
There it is.
A bull thing. Yeah.
The pink one was cool.
It's there. The pink one's cool. There we go. 1972. Is that the same watch though?
This is your typical watching this experience if there ever was one online.
Because you'll never see it.
That's brilliant. You'll never see it.
Someone's getting their rear ends kicked big time at Junghans.
That's brilliant. They could have had all of that exposure on the world's biggest watch website, and that's exclusivity 404. Maybe it's just that. Maybe it's of course also possible that they've got my IP address listed. You're going to talk rubbish, trash about it. We're not letting you even see it.
So scroll down and see where it says 1972 on collection. Try that. No, scroll down, see collection. This is
1972.
There we go.
Yeah,
there's different ones. Okay, that was confusing.
You have to turn these. Yeah. Okay.
There's one there. 2,800.
Time for German adrenaline.
Right, let's give it a vote.
Adrenaline.
Right next to German sense of humor. Right, let's go. Hit miss maybe. 1, 2, 3, go. I'm giving it a hit. Just for pure comedy value of that 404, that deserves it. Right, David, how'd you vote?
I voted a maybe. There was this review of the Apollo Gumpert car on Top Gear, and they said that they recommend that car for somebody who had a botched eye operation, and they want the car that looks catastrophically ugly. And so if you had a botched eye operation and you want the watch that's ugly because you find it pretty, then this is the watch for you. It's the perfect watch for that. So I guess it's a maybe if you had a botched eye operation and you need an ugly looking watch.
Yeah, if you're suffering from cataracts and you're waiting in the queue with the NHS for a year to get your cataracts done, this is the watch for you. Yeah. Ariel, how did you vote?
I'm not going to, I voted a hit. I'm not going to defend the prettiness. Obviously, this is a aesthetically challenged watch from various angles, though it is legible and it is comfortable. I have no idea legible. Which of the colors I would wear.
People will see it from everywhere.
Here's why I give it a hit. I want to see somebody out in the world wearing this and applaud them. It's like I just want someone to have the balls to wear this. Man, woman, don't care. I just feel that watches like this need to be worn more, and I want to see it. So it's weird, but it's also quite a practical thing, and it doesn't really violate any major rules. Yes, it's weird looking. I will continue to assert that it is weird looking, but it is still a decent performing instrument at the end of the day, and that saves it for me.
I'm on, for those of you on the
just not the Timex.
YouTube channel, I'm currently scrolling through the PDF of the instruction manual for this Junghans, which is weird because it starts at page 15. I'm not quite sure why, but I'm not sure what happened to pages 1 to 14.
The explanation's at the top there.
Particularly like
they say it's the German watch, so that's the explanation.
That's it, right? Okay, so it starts right. I do like the little drawings I've got particularly for the man in the shower. The bath, he appears to have drowned. The bath, he's been the subject to the hit that has been conducted by the guy wearing the Timex from earlier on. And then I do love the Live Your Style. They included the whole extra page. Do they have
any 50-bar water-resistant watches even?
Yeah, they do 50 bar.
But do they have it?
I mean, do they actually?
I don't even know that they make it.
They just stole the charge from Casio.
Do they actually don't actually make any? Right, Ripley.
I said it's a maybe. As mentioned, it's an aesthetically challenged watch. I think there's no two ways around that. It's not going to be made poorly. It's interesting. It's not the same chronograph everyone else has for good reason. The size of it sounds borderline oppressive, but it doesn't have any lugs. I can't really wear bullheads. I'm really bad about hitting the 12 o'clock side into things. So I would murder one of those pushers in short order, but it's not. It's an interesting watch, so it's a maybe.
Okay, dokie. I'm realizing we have a notice here. We just need to have a quick chat with that. Right, Pete, very quickly.
Very quickly, my wife used to work as a midwife, and when you had weird babies that had been subject to some sort of chromosomal test and it came back as all clear, the midwives would make a little note and put FLK on the paperwork, which stood for funny looking kid. And it was designed to stop other midwives coming in and doing more chromosomal tests. This is a funny-looking kid of a watch. It's not wrong. It's not going to die, but it's weird-looking.
Okay.
The parents were cousins.
It is weird-looking. Every country's got those two areas of the country whereby you talk about folk marrying cousins. Where is it in Australia?
Tasmania.
Here it's Tasmania. Here it's like
really?
Norfolk or the southwest. Yeah, it's farmer country. So Tasmania is where you marry your cousin. Huh. Right, okay. Kevin?
I gave this a hit.
Ariel seems strangely interested in that fact.
I like Tasmania. I didn't get that vibe there as well.
Ticket. Oh. he's on the website. Tickets to Tasmania.
No, it's a flight.
You have to bring your cousin with you.
Tasmania.
So weird.
I was like, no, actually no.
Yeah, one of the jokes is to figure out the population of Tasmania, you do a head count, then divide by 2.
I see.
All right, okay. Yeah. Kevin.
Bring it back on track. Yeah, the Junghans 1972 is a
Kevin's frozen. Kevin, where are you? We missed you.
I think his smile sums it up, right?
Yeah, it's cool. Believe it or not, they are still available at Amiga, even though the last one issued was the Rio Olympics. So they obviously sold very well, Ariel. So if you still want one, you can still get them.
I also like that they were categorized under Seamaster, as though that made sense. It wasn't a Speedmaster. It was a
Rio
Seamaster.
Olympics. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
How long ago was the Rio Olympics? That wasn't even the last cycle. Oh my God!
Yeah, they made 1,972. No.
They really couldn't sell these watches. They were heavily discounted. The
really
Omega Bullheads were particularly ugly and poorly categorized.
They were really thick as well, really thick. But I still like them. They're quirky. I like quirky stuff.
Yeah, but this is like a third of the price, if not even less.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. This is a hit for me. 100%. It's quirky and it's cheap.
Quirky and cheap, just like me. Right. Very, very finally, absolutely finally, Nodus Raven Trail Checker ACT. Oh dear. ACT Arctic Circle Trail. There we go. 103-mile trail in Greenland. So one of the longest trails in America, apparently. This 103-mile trail in Greenland, or soon to be.
Not America yet.
39.5 mil. There's you're going to come up against. The thing is, it's going to be embarrassing when the Americans come up against the might of the Danish military and get beaten by the Danes, because those Danes can be quite fierce. It takes a lot to produce that much bacon.
Is it because we revealed all of our military plans in unsecure chats? Is that what our problem was? we just gave away all of our strategy. Whoops.
So Nodus Raven Trail Trekker, I quite like this, but do you gentlemen like this? Is it a hit, a miss, or a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. Hits a bit of a variety. David, why do you like this watch?
I like a rugged-looking watch that goes anywhere and is 3-figure priced, so a hit for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good-looking watch, and then it's even better looking when you realize it's 200-meter water resistant and $875. Ariel?
I mean, it's fine. I don't know why so many names need to be included for such a ordinary-looking watch. Like, it's very conservatively handsome. I don't see where there's multiple people being like, oh yeah, without them, we couldn't have figured out to color that GMT hand that particular shade of blue. So it's fine. I think it's a bit overhyped in there. Nodus makes a good value proposition. I'm someone who believes strongly in collaborations, but you have to look at something and immediately be like, okay, I can see why multiple entities were responsible for this. This watch did not need as much branding on the dial.
Yes, there's a lot of there's a lot of margins to be, not much margin to be divided up by quite a number of parties. Ripley,
I said it's a hit. It's Nodus case, Raven dial markers. I reviewed the original Trail Trekker, which was like a full kind of green gray case. Really wears nice, good size, good proportions. As David mentions, 3-figure price. It's a really practical kind of easy wearing piece. I like these. It's a solid watch. I've seen this one in person. Clean colorway.
Mm-hmm. The Trail Trekker clay that's on the screen is
lots of words. It's Nodus and Raven collab, and then it's the Trail Trekker, but the Trail Trekker was the original greenish one. So then this one's the Arctic version. So you get a lot of names on the dial, but you also get a lot of value for the money.
But here's where it fails. You cannot competently explain to someone in 3 sentences what this is. It has to begin with like, okay, well, let me explain what the brands are. And then let me explain this. Like, this is a story that you cannot clearly articulate. And the whole point of collaboration watches is that you can give it a strong elevator pitch. I mean, tell me, Ripley, oh my God, there's a stagecoach on the back. I mean, how do you explain this watch in 3 sentences? You
Why is there a stagecoach in the back? Why is there a stagecoach in the back? Is this just like they took a look at JLC and thought, horses?
You don't like playing Oregon Trail like a whole lot?
Forge the river. Well, for the original one, it made a bit more sense when it was like the Trail Trekker. But now that we're in the Arctic, that should look different. That covered wagon would not fare well in the Arctic. Yeah, it's still a hit, but change the case back engraving.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
Again, you still haven't been able to explain it in 3 sentences, and no one can.
Or like, you can give me 3 hours. I don't think I'd be able to fully articulate.
Right. That's a huge marketing issue. So it's like they're like, well, we're selling to the people that know. Who are these select amount of people who see this and be like, I get it.
And then just as you think you've explained it, you then flip the watch over to reveal a stagecoach and go, yeah, actually, let me start that again. Pete, what are your thoughts?
I had a hit, and in a way, while I agree with everything that Ariel just said, if this was a normal watch selling to normal people, it's not. It's a microbrand watch that's selling to microbrand people. And so the microbrand people are all in the Nodus and they're all in the Raven, and two of their favorite microbrands got together and put a watch out. They're not going to sell a lot, but microbrands don't have to sell a lot.
Has Pete vanished, or is it just me?
I think he vanished.
Pete has vanished. Pete has gone. Pete has been stagecoached out of here.
There's like an invisible moderator who's like, I don't like your statement. You're out. You're done.
Yeah, it's been lassoed.
We're cutting your mic.
The doorbell rang. It was his Tasmanian cousin, and so he's off ski.
I do agree with what he was saying, though. The nature of this collaboration totally isn't like, give me it in 2 sentences for like you would a Submariner. This really is for like, you're at a wind up intersex style event talking with other watch nerds, and you're like, wait, what Nodus is that? Oh no, it's the Nodus Raven collab. And then you're having this discussion long form and can kind of nerd out on the little nuances that separate this from like the contrail.
I'm not saying that group of people is small, and I'm still saying they am not even quite sure. I'm not saying it's a pretty watch and it's a good price. I'm just saying from storytelling perspective, micro brands have a lot to figure out.
From a storytelling perspective, you can come up with a very long story to try to rationalize that case back engraving, and I still don't think you're going to come up with a good one. It's a covered wagon. Cohesive. It's the Arctic Trail.
This is the epitome of too many cooks in the kitchen. I hate that statement a lot, but this is perfect. There needed to be one person designing this and one person only.
Yeah, I'm trying to let Pete back in because he is in the lobby, but it's not letting him back in. Oh, there we go. He's experiencing connectivity issues. Yeah, so the Tasmanian military's come to get him. Kevin, while we see if Pete can get back in.
I'll keep this brief. It was a maybe for me. I know nothing about these brands, but it's a good-looking watch. I love the lume, and it's not too bad for the money.
Good. Right, well, that's us for our live show this week. If you are one of the 400 or so trying to get into an event scheduled for 100 in New York next week, then good luck. I think if you come with a lady, it's probably because that's the demographic that I have, so bring a lady friend with you, or if you're already a lady, bring another lady friend. I don't know.
We legitimately have enough women for this event, and I've never said that about any other event we've done. But this one... Like, call in all watch nerds, okay? I'll give 5 of you a spot.
Good stuff. And all the best, Ripley, in growing. When is the big day, Ripley, that you decide?
Well, I did not have to go in today. I do not have to go in tomorrow. I will then call again tomorrow and see my instructions and for Wednesday, and that will rinse and repeat throughout the week. What will be a big shame is if I don't have to go in, and all of this has been in vain, and only you guys get to see this amazing growth on the front of my face.
Yeah, so, I mean, I feel like that should be celebrated somehow. Like,
no. Well, I did wear it to my, I didn't grow this since yesterday, so I had this on my face when I went to my fiance's family's house for Easter, so she was thrilled by that. And
had they met you before? Like, what have you married? What was you doing
have. I realized a couple of the significant others hadn't, and that's unfortunate. But
was it easier to explain what was going on in your top lip, or would it have been easier to explain this Nodus collab?
Oh my God! It's in 3 sentences. I can tell you what's going on with the mustache, the case back. Yeah. So there's a covered wagon, and in the previous
collaboration. Good stuff. Right. Well, thank you everyone for listening this week. Do join us again in a week or so.
And now Rick's frozen. Oh no.
Watch Weekly Live and I'm back and watch some Extra Time. So there we go. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from all of us. Cheerio.
Bye all.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye everyone.